It is currently 8:45 p.m. and I can see the moon right outside my window. Oh, look at that beauty. Look at that beautiful crescent moon. Oh, stunning. So the skies are looking pretty clear tonight. I'm not seeing a lot of clouds. There's a little bit of cloud on the horizon, but that shouldn't be too big of a concern. I am going to try and go outside later when it gets a bit darker and try and do some backyard stargazing. Just try and scoping out some of the constellations in the sky, some of the brighter stars, and just kind of take in and appreciate the beauties of the beautiful dark skies that we have here in Connecticut.
Hello, and welcome to my brief stargazing planning session. So, I'm currently using a software called Stellarium. It is free, open source, and available for all platforms Windows, Mac, Linux. And it is one of the best tools that I have ever used for planning out my stargazing sessions just because of how comprehensive it is. It is very easy to use, however, and I will give you a brief demo as I show you how I'm preparing for my sort of impromptu backyard stargazing session. So this is Stellarium. We're looking at Stellarium right now. I'll bring your attention briefly to this bottom bar over here if you drag your mouse. So first of all, it shows you your location. So I'm in Connecticut, so New Haven, that's a pretty okay ballpark location to have. There's not going to be any big deviations from where I actually am and where New Haven is, just because of how small Connecticut is, but to change your own location, you can simply click on this and you can change it. And then over here, you just want to make sure that you're in the correct time. So today is the 7th of August, around 9:08 p.m. Yes, that is correct. So now I know that I'm looking at the night sky live. So on the screen up here, we can see that the screen is kind of split into two. There's like the sky, the night sky up here, and there's like an image of the ground. This is just kind of designed to replicate what the real life ground situation might look like. My actual grounds do not look like this, but that's just what Stellarium has provided me. So we can see the cardinal directions printed in red down here on the bottom. So where they are, this represents the horizon, and currently by default, Stellarium looks at the south. However, I know that for my backyard stargazing session, I'll be looking at the sky directly towards the north. So one thing I do love about Stellarium is that you can use your keyboard to interact with the software. So I'm going to press down on the right keyboard arrow, and I'm just going to move, keep moving until I am facing north. Okay, great. So I am now looking at the north part of my sky, and I know that this is exactly where I'm going to be facing when I'm going to be doing my actual stargazing. So now we see that there are several stars, and there's even like a Perseids meteor shower. But I don't know what exactly I'm looking at, right? And so to get some more information, I can actually press the C button on my keyboard, and this brings up the constellation lines. So C for constellation. If you want to get rid of this, just press C again, and it will make them disappear. So I'm going to bring them back up, but I may not know which constellations these are, and so it would be useful to have labels. So I'm going to press the V button right next to the C button, and this brings up the labels of those constellations. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is great. I can now see exactly what the constellations are in the sky, what I can expect to see. I'm going to use the up arrow to kind of go up a little bit, just because like when I crane my head back, looking directly overhead, I want to be able to see, what exactly the constellations are. But now I'm a little confused. Once I go up, up in the sky, now there's no cardinal directions to tell me where I'm looking at. So I'm going to go back to the ground by pressing the down arrow, and I'm going to press the Z button on my keyboard. And the Z button brings up the elevation guidelines. So this is telling you, so in the corner you can see these green numbers, +5 degrees, +10 degrees, +15, so on and so forth. And this tells you how high in the sky you can expect to find these objects. In general, I have found that usually you can easily see anything that's above 25 degrees just because usually below 25 degrees is going to be covered by buildings and stuff. And so I'm guessing that I probably won't be able to see most of Cassiopeia. Probably I'm not going to be able to see the Perseids meteor shower, which is a shame because it is actually right now at its peak. It is, a pretty active meteor shower. You can see like shooting stars, but I may not be able to see that tonight just because it's probably going to be obscured behind the buildings. I'm going to click out of that. So just looking above this 25-degree line, I'm going to use the up arrow on my keyboard to now look up a little bit. So, okay, I see that I'll be able to see Ursa Minor at least. And there is the star Polaris, and I'm going to continue pressing the up arrow. So I see here that I'll be able to see the constellation Cepheus. Above Ursa Minor, I will be able to see Draco, the dragon constellation. And if I keep going overhead, I can see that at the zenith point, which is the point directly overhead, I can see Hercules. If I crane my head back a little further, I can see Vega, which is a very bright star. I'm a little curious about what this Kappa Cygnids is, so I'm going to click on it. I'm going to go down a little bit. So I can see that if I can see this, then it's going to be kind of near the head of Draco or kind of near the end star of Cygnus. It is a meteor shower, as we can see here from the information. So that is the north part of the sky, which is mostly what I'll be looking at. Let me kind of look at the northeast now. So I know for a fact that a lot of this area is actually obscured by buildings for me, but in the higher elevation of these areas of the sky, I can see more of Cygnus, the Swan. If I keep going up, there's Lyra, the Hercules. There's a couple of other smaller constellations here, but nothing too bright or anything like that. Let me go back to northwest. Again, all of this is covered by buildings, so I won't be able to see this. I will be able to see Canes Venatici. I can see Coma Berenices. I can see Bootes and Arcturus over here. Let me go over here. So this is a double star. It's also one of the brighter stars in the sky. So I should hopefully be able to see Arcturus in the sky. So I'm going to go back north. Oh, I'm just going to click out of this. Oh. And just for funsies, I'm actually going to go back towards the south just to see what I can expect to see. So there's Serpens, there's Aquila, there's Altair, the star in the constellation Aquila. And just gonna click out of that again. Okay, so going back to the north. Here we are. So today I should just be able to see most of the bright stars. So that's certainly Polaris. I have previously been able to make out the shape of Ursa Minor from where I am, and I'll look for Cepheus and see if I can make out this shape. I will be mindful of the Kappa Cygnids meteor shower up here. I'm gonna bring back the constellations just for funsies. And I really hope, I don't expect to see the Perseids, but I really do hope to. Yeah, nothing too major, just because I'm using my naked eyes. I'm not using any binoculars or any telescopes or anything, so I don't have any deep sky objects to look at, just the stars and trying to learn the constellations in the northern sky. That is it. Let me know if you want a tutorial of Stellarium. This is definitely one of my favorite softwares to use. It is so helpful, a very, very powerful and very useful software. Another tool that I use in my impromptu or planned stargazing sessions is my little log notebook. So this is a small, like A6 sized notebook, and if I open it up, so I started this one earlier this year in June. I stuck a few like space inspired stickers, and basically the idea is for me to log my stargazing details. In this particular logbook, my first one was on the 28th of June at home from my backyard in Connecticut. So what I try to do is just have a log of what the night sky conditions were that night that I observed, as well as what I observed. So I tend to take this in the dark with my pencil, and so the handwriting is not the neatest, but the idea is to just record my thoughts in the moment of what I'm seeing in the sky, and just to look back on what I saw and what I learned. So I note down the time that I started observing, and I try to use 24-hour time, so 21:52, this is 9:52 p.m. I note the ending time of my stargazing session, so 22:15, 10:15 p.m., so clearly I was not out for that long, maybe about 20 minutes. I note the sunset that day. I also note the moon details. So, for example, on this day, the moon was supposed to rise at midnight, 43 minutes past midnight. I quickly noted the weather, so 60 Fahrenheit. That's kind of chilly, but, pretty decent weather overall. And I do note the clouds, high clouds and wispy clouds. So these are very thin, high clouds. They don't usually affect naked eye stargazing, usually being the key word. You can still see a lot of the bright objects through high and wispy clouds. So the rest of the log is what I was actually noting down while I was observing. So that's what my logs try to capture. Just really super basic information, trying to record what I saw that night. And so for tonight's impromptu stargazing session, I will do something similar. Here's the log for today that I just filled out. By now it is pretty dark and I'm about to go out and observe. The moon sets at 21:35, so it is just about to set in just a few minutes. It is waxing crescent. It was really beautiful when I was looking at it earlier. I am pretty sure the clouds are clear, but I just want to be sure of that, so I'll note this detail down when I go out. So yeah, that's my log, and I will show you what backyard stargazing looks like. I've been out here about 10 or 15 minutes, and I have been able to see a lot of the constellations that I wanted to see, the constellations that I had identified. Don't mind the weird, creepy red lighting. It's like my red torch, which I use to kind of preserve my night vision, but it's not really doing much good because I've got like bright street lamps. But anyways, yeah, it was a very clear night, and then just randomly and very rapidly, clouds just started rolling in. And so now there's a lot of high cloud actually just obscuring the stars, which is so sad. But I did see one shooting star, which is really awesome. I'm very lucky that I saw it. There are a lot of satellites as well that I can see. But other than that, yeah, in the 10-15 minutes that I've been out here, it was beautiful until the clouds started rolling in. But yeah, I'm just gonna head back, and that was a pretty decent stargazing session. I wish it was longer, but gosh darn these clouds. I have now filled out my observing log, so I wasn't out there for too long, only about, 15 or so minutes. And so it was clear initially. There were some high and wispy clouds, but that didn't really, affect my stargazing too much. But then the clouds just started rolling in very rapidly from the east, and they were really thick, and I think they were rain clouds. And so yeah, they were totally obscuring my view, unfortunately. But yeah, in the time that the skies were clear, I did see Ursa Minor, I saw Cepheus, I saw Draco. I was trying to learn Draco's kind of winding head shape, and then the way that the tail kind of loops down. I was trying to identify those stars. I did see one shooting star that was in the constellation kind of below Cepheus, and so that was really cool. I definitely have to say that was the highlight of my observing session. And then yeah, sadly the clouds just started coming in, and so that just really put an end to my stargazing. So thank you for joining me on my random impromptu backyard stargazing session. I hope that was kind of fun. I certainly had fun just kind of looking at the night sky again and figuring out which constellations are in the sky. And I did see this one single shooting star, which I was really excited to see. I looked longer, but I didn't see any more shooting stars in that area. And then the clouds started rolling in very sadly. But yeah, I will take you along with me the next time I go stargazing, whenever that is. But I hope this inspires you to just go out into your own backyard, just look up, just observe whatever you can. There are a lot of very bright stars in the sky, and at least you know, you can look up and figure out which constellations they belong to and kind of make out shapes in the sky and orient yourself. It's always such a useful tool, and unfortunately there is a lot of light pollution, you know, here in the urban kind of landscapes that we live in, but I think it's important to maintain that connection to the skies, and just looking upwards is all.